Yeah, Ozzy, you got a question?
Yeah, I had a little question for you. I work with some people trying to transition them off of like the meats and the dairy and all, and including when I got my dad, when I get my dad off. What's the thoughts when people are like they're underweight and they're really skinny and well, I come to find out they're malabsorbed and they're not absorbing right, they're not utilizing. So most of the nutrition that they're eating, they're not really getting it. And then they fall underweight, and then, they blame the fruits or they blame the veggies.
Right.
I'll go to skin and bones if I keep doing this, and then, of course, when you're in society, your friends and family are going to be saying stuff to you, like, oh, you can't do this anymore. You're going way too skinny, and
Right.
what's your advice on that part when if you get people you work with like that?
I mean, my advice is to just be liberal with them in terms of their transition, and definitely turn them on to some of the mucus lean options. And of course, it's best when you've experienced some of those so that you kind of know what they do. And I was gonna give you guys. Let me see if I can get this to. Do I have that up? I was gonna maybe give you guys a sneak peek of working on the menu book, uh, but basically because I got different, there's different menus that kind of come to mind, but that's kind of what I would do, would be to suggest various mucus lean options that are uh, that you know work, that eliminate well. And let's see, I'm bringing up my thing here, but yeah, stuff like the uh, baked zucchini, or zucchini or summer squash. I've been checking out this zucchini and summer squash uh, made with you make it into like spaghetti. They have those little things that you put it in and turn it, and it'll turn it into spaghetti. And you can make if you take a couple of those and make the zucchini noodles, and make an onion saute and put it in there, and you put a cover on top of it, and sort of cook it for a little while. Spiral slicer, thank you. uh, and kind of, it'll sort of steam itself. You can add a little water if you have to, but those kind of meals are very satisfying. They're bigger. They're definitely for somebody that's in that case of being malabsorbed and things. I mean, that they're gonna need to go through that period. Now, if there's somebody that's, say, suffering from a chronic illness, and they're getting into the diet looking, it's like, okay, I need to heal. Now, those are going to be people that they might have to go through that period of being really skinny while they're healing, because in order to heal these really chronic illnesses, now we're going to have to be talking about the fruit fasting and the juice fasting and the water fasting levels, and sort of being more aggressive with that level. But as they start to neutralize those acids and that uric acid nature about them, they might even gain weight on certain types of fasting. The fruit tends to be aggressive, and that tends to be what'll make someone be skinnier. But green drinks, sometimes I recommend getting into the green drinks. My favorite is like kind of the celery, spinach, and cucumber. Then you can add parsley to it or something like that. But anything in that realm of the green drinks, is that also helps the kidneys kind of turn on a little bit, and that's good for folks that are really really acidic. I found. So, but yeah, I just wouldn't be scared to really let them know about those mucus lean options, and just tell them, like, look, if you need to transition, if you need to eat this, eat this. If you need to just always have a salad with it. If you need to have a soy burger, have a soy burger. Have a whatever it is along those lines. then eventually you can find better options. You can get into the wheat spaghetti, get into the zucchini, all that kind of stuff. And okay, you see, Ina said he's gonna get out of here. Thanks for joining us. And
Thank you.
And yeah, we will see you next time.
Yes.
All right, take care, I.
All right. Thank you. Bye.
And so yeah, so does that answer your question of kind of a way to?
Yeah. Yeah. Are we still? I mean, are they still removing obstructions? Like, are these people still obstructed? Is that
Yeah.
what we're,
Yeah, I mean basically, because when you're dealing with someone that's skinny like that, or the so-called malabsorbed, they're usually a uric acid type, which just means that they have more on a cellular level, they're more acidic, as opposed to being a mucus type and having that kind of fat that'll develop around. So instead of turning into fat when they eat mucus-forming foods and pus-forming foods, their body transforms it into acid. And so that's why, and it's in the transition can be difficult. It can be a little harder for them, and that's why I'm a little bit more I'm open to say, okay, well, let's take it slow, really try to neutralize that acid, because it can be very painful. It can get very if it's not done right and they're too aggressive, it can get painful. The gas can get painful. Just all along those lines. So that's why the stuff like I would have them doing enemas if they're willing to do them, because that helps. But along the lines of huge salads, just stuff that's basically gonna kind of cool down and neutralize those acids is really the way. Because when you're talking about somebody that's coming from a diet of McDonald's or eating out at Outback Steakhouse or whatever, and then they go into even the vegan level as a spot on the transition, they're starting that cleansing process, and they're getting their body ready and their mind ready to be able to better sustain periods of fasting and periods of being able to sustain fruit fast and fruit diet or juice fasting and that kind of thing. And especially for people that don't necessarily take immediately to the fasting part of this, then having those mucus lean options available for people are real important. And again, that's one of those things where Arrett allows for a fairly liberal mucus lean experience, because he'll even have, for people that are having trouble getting off of cheese, he recommends using cottage cheese, and things that in the raw food world or whatever would be like taboo and like no. He'll have options like that in there for people that really need them, and so that really nobody's left behind in terms of the transition. Everybody can find some kind of transition. My thing is, what are the foods that they need to get off of sooner than later? And my recommendations is always like, well, get off of the white potatoes as soon as possible. Get off of white bread. Get onto the toasted wheat bread. Those kind of things. If you get in the practice of having a fruit meal in the afternoon, getting rid of breakfast, having a fruit meal in the afternoon, and a cooked vegetable or mucus lean meal in the evening, or vice versa. You could have the cooked meal earlier and the fruit later. But all of those types of variations are all pretty much part of the transition diet as Arrett describes it. And that's what I would recommend for those folks.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, so does that answer your question? Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. And I've dealt with that a lot. Like, so yeah, that's pretty spot on what what I've thought and what I've helped with people and all.
Okay.
And yeah. And those people are also pretty scared of fasting and even fruit fast.
Right.
Because they feel they're going to lose even more weight, and then like I can't do that because I can't do all the grapes because I'll go down to skin and bones.
Right.
And it might in the back of their mind be actually like open to it, but around their workplace or something, people are going to say something to them like, "Oh, you're getting real skinny. Like, you're pretty underweight." And
Right.
if they know you're fasting or doing something, then they're like, "Oh, that's why. That's because you're."
Well, and that's one when we had the conversation about talking to people, and I got in the habit of never really telling people what I'm doing in terms of my diet, like unless they ask me, and now it doesn't even occur. Like I have to think about. I'll be like, oh yeah, I've been fasting the past month, and it'll just be like a passing thing that I might tell other Mucusless diet practitioners, but it's not something that I think about offering that information to people, because I definitely went through those periods of folks kind of, you tell them you're doing something, you're fasting or whatever, then they go, they go crazy and like, whoa, what? You're not eating anything. Well, what are you doing? And this, and I'm like, just settle down. It's okay. But yeah, I think that's where the transition does help, because it helps them. It's very slow, but it is a transition, and it's happening, and their mind starts to change, because as they get cleaner and cleaner, their mind starts to also transition, and that's where they start to get a little bit bolder. They get a little braver, and they say, you know what, I think I need a cleanse, and I need a fast. I need to cleanse, and they'll start to go in that direction. So yeah. But yeah, definitely I would avoid telling too many people until you're.
You get into the, like sometimes you get into this and you're like, you want to tell people because you want people to know.
Right.
That get your health back by doing it, but then it kind of works against you, like when they start judging you, and that's kind of how I started out, because I lost 100 pounds, and I was like in like 6 months, and
yeah.
So people seeing me transition, and they're like, wow, they're like, what'd you do? And I'm like, well, I ate fruit. I pretty much ate fruit and some green juice. But then they're immediately like, oh, well, I'm not going to do that. Like,
right.
But they'll try some fast or some program, like, that doesn't work, but eating fruits out there,
right.
Man, that's way. But,
right. And that,
so I went,
yeah.
Kind of going back to like now, like you're saying, I used to want to tell everybody, and I did tell everybody, and it didn't bother me if they didn't believe it or whatever. But now I'm kind of trying to keep a little more quiet about it, and just working on myself.
Right. And I found that there's almost this law of if people ask you a question, and it's kind of, instead of offering something, once people ask you a question, then they sort of open themselves up because they kind of want to know. Then instead of just giving them everything, it's kind of like, well, you give them a little bit, but then they have to do the work. If they're interested enough, then they'll do the work. So that's where it's kind of like, okay, I'll tell you a little bit about what I'm doing, but if you're really interested in it, then here's a book for you to read. Check out the Mucusless Diet book and read that. And if you got questions about that, then talk to me after you've read that book. And that usually keeps everything real cool, because it's kind of like, okay, you told me enough, you told me a little bit, and it's like, okay, if I'm inspired to learn more, then I'll go and read the book. And so you put it in their court where they have to. You've done the work, and and you have the knowledge, but they got to do a little bit of work too, if they're really interested, and that definitely weeds out the people that are just not going to be interested at all, and the people that are potential practitioners that'll take this thing seriously, and for those kind of people that I think they just really like you. tell them to read the book and then to really focus on the transition chapter, because they're going to need that. They're going to need to. They're probably not going to be able to jump over and do the fruit right away. They'll have to do the transition, and and then they'd be more likely to stick to it for a longer period.
Yeah.
And,
I wanted to ask Roy. How old she was.
Did you hear that, Roya? How old are you?
How old? 19.
How old?
19.
19.
It's always good to see young people grasping this, because
Yeah, definitely.
you guys are the future. We want young people. It's awesome to see people like that.
Definitely. What'd you say?
How old are you?
You said, how old are you?
I'm 36. I feel like I'm 20 though. I feel like I'm in my 20s. So losing all that weight really got me motivated, and I feel young. Like
Yeah.
I think I'm more athletic now than I was in high school, and so
Yeah,
I like
definitely.
it. I think it's reversing my age.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I can see that you came down. Yeah, you have to share your before picture. So your before and after pictures.
Yeah, I got my actual picture on my YouTube is my before picture.
Okay.
So like if I comment, people will be like, "Well, if you're eating fruits and veggies, then what's your pick? You ain't eating fruits and veggies. You're lying."
Right.
And I'm like, well, look at my channel, because that's my before pic. But I like leaving it up there for them. But yeah, I'm actually getting the website going. That's why I was doing this program and all. I'm trying to get my website. So I'm gonna have some before and after and some blogs. I've been kind of video blogging this watermelon fast, so
That's great.
I'm trying to help people, because there's a lot of overweight people out there, and they need help.
Yeah.
And someone wants to help. So I tell them, if I can do it, anybody can do it, because the diet I was on and my view on vegans and veganism and was like, that's crazy. Like everybody else said, that's crazy.
Right.
So now I'm the crazy. So if I can do it, anybody can do it. So
Right, definitely.